Hey guys, Wages World here. It is the 19th of July, going on to the 20th, 2020. Come at you with a video. We got a CME coming at us, guys, and man, did it light stuff up. It is coming at us too. We're gonna take a hit from this one. I think I kind of mentioned this one in my previous video. I seen it starting to happen. I wasn't really quite sure what direction it was going. I think I stated that, but it does look as though this thing's coming at us. We'll take a greater look at that here in a minute. Plus all the typical updates I give you on the Schumann and all that also. And plus some NEOWISE stuff. Bruce Sees All dropped another video that was crazy amazing. I'll leave you guys a link and I'll take you guys over to his page and let you see it. But I want you guys to go over and watch it because it was awesome. And we'll get more into that here in a minute. But the question here, guys, a couple videos back was asked that can CME affect people with pacemakers? And Raven Kiefer here pretty much answers it for you. And what I thought was the truth, he's pretty much agreeing with me here, or she. Not sure if it's a man or woman here. But basically, they're saying anything with the electromagnetic field can be affected by any of that. Any kind of disruptions. The cardiac groups are now, they've been monitoring them for a while, but he's confirming what I said here. They're monitoring the Schumann frequency because, they have to adjust what they do sometimes, and they're having more success with that because they have realized that really is a big thing. It has a lot to do with what we do around every day of our life. So, and what I liked about this is, I encourage them to drop more links and stuff in here with this kind of stuff because any kind of knowledge I can get or anybody else can get from this is great. That's just how I look at it. So I encourage you all to do that. And there was a lot of responses on this one. I pinned this one to my last video. And there was like 10 or 12 responses, people, in there talking about it, dropping links and stuff like that. So please feel free to do that as long as it's on topic and it doesn't get disgusting or something like that. Please don't go crazy on me there or I'll have to stop all that mess. But and then here's the one from the other yesterday's video or 2 days ago. This is her bearing seedlings. I'm assuming he probably has a channel by that name. I would go over and check it out if I was you guys. Just go see what he's got going on there. Says my son-in-law has photos of NEOWISE. Looks close to Earth. He said he saw Halley's Comet back in the 80s. I did too. It was awesome. It's awesome. Halley's Comet was awesome. I think this NEOWISE thing is probably going to be our kids' Halley's Comet. But they should be around. Most of our kids will be around when it comes back around again. So hopefully they'll be able to see that one too. But yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. If anybody has like captures of this stuff, feel free to send it to me. Always drop my email down in the description. I don't always put it there. I should. But I'll put it in the description box this time. If you guys want to drop me some photos or video of this thing, I would be more than happy to show it. So, okay, guys, this is Mr. MBB3 page. This is how I get to the Schumann. So I'm going to take you guys over and show you that. But yeah, as you can see, look what we just had. This is the most recent capture of this, most recent data, I should say. It was pretty quiet. We had a small spike a couple days ago, and then we had this other little choppy looking spike thing going on. Actually, that spike was actually below our 7.83 hertz level, and that can affect us just as bad, if not worse, as a higher frequency. Okay, so keep that in mind. Either side of that typically is not, unless it's getting to the hertz level where it actually helps us. All the hertz levels are normal. Okay, guys, it's just what they do to our human body. Okay, I just want to put that out. Our brains, our bodies, all of it. So, also our little coded line, man, it's there quite a bit right here on this one. I'm not sure why, but it is. But you guys can see that right there. So, but this big spike here just happened. So if you guys are feeling ringing in your ears for the past few hours, not really feeling quite right today or whatever, this definitely could be it. That's a substantial spike, guys. And it wasn't on that timeline we were talking about there too. So it seems like we're off of that now. So whatever was causing that one to happen every day for days in a row isn't doing it now. So yeah. So at least that's something we can point to and be like, hey. But yes, that's a pretty big spike. So okay, guys, I got you over at NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. And we're going to go through the typical space weather stuff here real quick. Okay. The X-ray flux, which is basically tells us if there's been any solar flares or if there's sunspots facing us. Typically, this will rise. Right now, there are a couple active areas, but there are no sunspots. Okay, hence that's why this is low. So it's staying right there. Nothing really to talk about there. Our geomagnetic activity. Okay, this is where I want to talk a little bit because, as you can see, it's staying in quiet range here. Okay, it's not moving around a whole lot, staying very consistent. I look for this to change. Okay, and the reason being is we got a coronal hole, plus we now have a CME coming at us, and those things, some of that stuff's going to arrive at the same time, together. If that happens, we will most definitely, in my opinion, most likely, I should say, get into at least storm level. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Nobody can really say, hey, yes, we're having a geomagnetic storm this day. They can't be 100% about that typically, unless it's one big, huge CME they know that we are not going to miss, and they know that it's going to be pretty powerful. But the ones I'm going to show you here in a few minutes, the coronal hole and everything giving us the wind, plus the CME hitting us at the same time, that will definitely give us a little bit higher geomagnetic activity. Okay, at least it should. All right. Obviously, here's your coronal hole. Okay. And what we're looking at here, guys, and I want to explain this. You know, here's the equator, and the Earth kind of sits just to the south of the equator of the sun. It's called the ecliptic. If you take the equator of the sun, you stretch it all the way out to as far as it'll go. That's the ecliptic line. So if you hear somebody say, hey, you're above the ecliptic, or this is below the ecliptic, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about either above or below that line. But for us right here, that coronal hole, and that's a substantial coronal hole. It's not real huge, but it's big enough to say, hey, this is going to give us some weather for at least a substantial amount of time. And I'm talking like probably 12 hours, maybe 24 at the most right now, unless this thing gets bigger. And it could. And this is, how we can tell how intense these holes or openings actually are is the degree of black that we see. That's one of the ways we can tell. Okay? And you can see that there's nothing there but black. So that means that's completely open on this gas. This is the 193 angstrom. Okay? The other gases will probably show up somewhat, especially the 171. But when we look at coronal holes, we're looking at the 193 angstrom, which is not, part of our visual spectrum. That's why we don't really, notice it a whole lot. But also, the 171, it tends to show a little bit more hazy. The 211 shows coronal holes really well also. But there's reasons, and I've explained multiple times why we use these filters. And it is to see different gases. That's why. This picks out anything that shows up in the 193 angstrom and eliminates everything else. So if it's not in that 193 angstrom, you ain't going to see it here. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's why that's why we even get any kind of definition on this too. If you throw it all together, it'd be just like you go outside and look up at the sun. So I mean, it's pretty close to that anyway. It wouldn't look. It just depends on what color assignment is. I know I'm rambling there a little bit because that's a huge subject, and I have a tendency to grab a hold of that and keep talking, but I'm not going to do that. So, just know that's what's going to give us some solar wind. So, but we'll move on down through here, and it's going to happen at the same time. That should start arriving at the same time as that CME is, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Here's the ACE data. Remember in my last video I was telling you how this range, look what they did. Okay, remember I said the 0.1 to 1 is usually there. Well, guess what, it's there. now. And that's why we see a range. We wouldn't even see a range. Because if they took that down and started it at 1, you wouldn't have any of this stuff. It wouldn't be there. So that's why they do that. So we have a visual to actually see what we're looking at here. But our solar wind, the speed itself, is hanging in there pretty decent. It's not doing nothing too crazy, but it's just staying pretty normal. So, okay, here's the CME tracker, guys. We had another CME, and I think I showed it to you guys already, that actually blew off this way towards stereo A. Remember I said it was going between us and stereo A, but closer to stereo A? Well, this is the second one. This one's actually closer to us than it is stereo A, and it's going to hit us, okay? At least according to this. It's going to graze us at the very least. This is a top-down view over here. This is a side view, and then you get our orbit around the sun is stretched out in a straight line here. And we look at all three, and if it's hitting us on all three, then you can pretty much say this is going to impact Earth. And it is. All three of these are showing that this thing's going to hit us. You can see the distortion here. Again, it looks like it's I don't know if I want to call it a glancing blow or not, or if it's more of it's not really like a dead smack in the middle of this thing, but it doesn't look like it's just going to graze us. It actually looks like it's going to hit us, but from the side of the CME itself. I'm calling it a CME. It could be a solar storm or whatever we want to call it there. But yeah, so that's going to happen here in the next few days. So we got to keep that in mind, guys. And I'm going to take you over to the seeds and show it to you again. And it also lit up some stuff, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, guys, I got you over at seeds. This is our view, okay? The Earth is here. We're looking this way, right? The satellite is right out in front of Earth looking at the sun. So what we're seeing here, and this is on the 18th, this one is, okay? And I showed you the one the day before, and we still had some action going on there right here on this side too, right? Now, keep in mind, doesn't that look like it's going to the right? And this is a good way to show you guys that can be deceiving. Okay? Because this is part of that CME. We know that this isn't going to the right. We know that now, right? And so this is showing you how this can be deceiving, and it's why we got to look at a couple different satellites and some other tools before we decide the direction. But if we go to the 19th, you're going to see, watch this. Okay? Now, again, that looks like it's going to the right. But what caused me to stop and everything when I first started noticing this the other day, or this morning actually, we started seeing the energy here. See that little loop like it came out from around the occulter? Remember, the satellite's here. So anything that's behind this occulter, we can't see it. At least not from this satellite. That's why all this stuff looked like it was coming around the edge. Now keep in mind also that black occulter is not the surface of the sun. The surface of the sun is that little white circle over here on the right. So it would be more like this is the surface of the sun. So whenever we see that, we don't know if it's coming at us or going to the back unless we go look at stereo A or another tool, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over here to stereo A, and we're just going to go to this one because that shows it, right? That right there is going to tell you pretty definitively that when you see them both go in that direction, because now the viewpoint, Earth is here. The satellite is here that we're looking from. We're looking at the sun from the side. So everything's going to look like it's going to the right. Well, it can't be going to the right here and going to the right on stereo or on LASCO C2 at the same time, can it? It can't. So it has to be, it's going basically our direction. And really what it's doing is it's actually going this direction. Okay? It would be actually, I'm not using height there. I'm actually using the left to right there. So I know this is a two-dimensional model, guys. It's hard to explain that sometimes. But also, I'm going to show you something here real quick. I'm going to back this up. You've probably seen it on my thumbnail. I'm going to show it to you guys without any filters. So we'll just back that up some and look at that. Okay? You know, it's there. So there's the observation. That's all I'm going to say about it, because there's really not much else to say. I'm going to take you guys over here and show you something else real quick, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay, guys, I just showed you all the seeds captures from the capture and what it lit up and everything. And you know, you see my thumbnail. Scott's did a lot of work with this stuff. He's been doing catching so many things lately, and he's also got those captures I just showed you. Go over and check this out over at planetxnews.org. He's got a lot of different photographs here that have been, well, a lot of different captures, I should say. And just check them out. See what you think. I think for me, and I've said this so much lately because we've talked about it so many times. You know, the observations speak for themselves. That's just my opinion. And so that is what it is, guys. Again, go check this out because I think it's worth a look, man. He's a lot of experience, a lot of years doing this, and here it is. So go over here to planetxnews.org and check this out. I'll leave a link to this. Alright, guys, this is the Geo Electric Field model I show you guys all the time. I just wanted to show it to you, give you a little update on it. There's not really much going on with this right now. We're not getting a whole lot of crazy solar wind or anything like that going on. So I wouldn't expect this thing to really be doing a whole lot, and it's not. So I just wanted to show that to you, give you guys a little update on that. Alright, guys, we've been hearing a lot about fireballs and all that kind of stuff lately. And we are in, seems to be more of a more active area of space, like we're in some sort of a more debris area of space. I'm not sure if it's a full-blown debris field of anything or anything like that, but we definitely are seeing an uptick in the amount of fireballs and stuff that are being reported anyway. Now, this is over at Bruce Sees All. I shouted him out before, he shouted out back and all that, and Bruce is a great guy. We've talked a few times. It's been a while back. As a matter of fact, it's probably been about a year since we've actually, you know, corresponded a little bit. But he does great work, guys. Go check him out. Obviously, you see what he's got going on here. 2 asteroids break up in front of NEOWISE comet. 2 unknown comets, he says. And he's getting these captures himself. Okay? This is not coming from whatever agency or whatever observatory or anything like that. This is coming from him. He's got like this big 14-inch telescope. I've been with him since before I even had a channel, guys. You know, way back in the day. Back when he was still, when he put together, when he got the funds to get this big 14-inch telescope that he uses. When he got all his funds together and was able to get this telescope, and, you know, he put it together in front of everybody and all that kind of stuff. That's how long I've been with Bruce here watching him. So, you know, he does a great job. He does a lot of stuff on the moon. You can see this. Matter of fact, he watches the moon a lot. And, you know, he shows what looks to be, you know, like pipes and all kinds of crazy stuff on the surface of the moon. It's nuts. You guys should go check it out. And again, he spends a lot of time, very dedicated to what he does. So, and not to mention, it's really great stuff. So, I think you guys would really enjoy it if you guys go over and check him out. I think you guys could learn something from him, just watching him. Watch what he does. He shows, like I said, he's got this one here, the NEOWISE comet, and the 2 asteroids break up in front of it. He caught that. I mean, that's just amazing in itself. Go watch this video. Seriously. Yeah, you'll be doing yourself a favor. But yeah, you can scroll down through here. You can see all the stuff that he does. He does live streams and stuff, which is something I should do too. I'm working on it, guys. I promise. As soon as I get a space of my own here in my house, I promise it's coming. But anyway, go check him out, guys. Okay, guys, I got you over here at spaceweather.com. And I'm getting a lot of questions on these asteroids. We're seeing a lot of fireballs lately being reported. And I do think we're in a more active area of space right now. Whether we're in a debris field or whatever we're in, it does seem as though we might be in a more cluttered area of space. So, for whatever that's worth, you know. I will say this, I have noticed an uptick in reports. That doesn't mean that we're getting more of them. And let me explain. You know, Billy Bob Thornton said it the best, and excuse my language, but this is what he said in Armageddon, the movie. He said, begging your pardon, it is a big-ass sky. So in other words, he's basically saying we can't see everything. We're not going to see everything, guys. The sky is way too big. We'd be very naive. And a lot of us get very comfortable thinking that somebody out there is looking all the time. And they are. But they just can't look everywhere. And so we can't really take that much comfort in that fact. I mean, we have to keep, be real about that. So, when we start talking about asteroids, how do we know what's coming? What do we think's coming? What's going on, right? So I go over here to spaceweather.com is where I go. And they do a graph here. And what this chart is showing you is the known asteroids. How close they're going to come, how big they are, and how fast they're moving. And when they expect it to pass by Earth. All right? So here on the left, you got the name. And typically in the name, you're going to see the year that it was discovered, right at the beginning. Notice that you see a lot of 2020 there. Okay, you see a 2002 down there too, and a 2016. But see all those 2020s? That means it was discovered this year. They didn't see it till this year. So that's my point. And every once in a while you're going to come on here and you're going to look at this graph and you're going to see something that wasn't there the day before. And what it is they've seen another one and they'll plug it right in. Okay? But what we're most concerned with is the date and how close it's going to come to us, right? And the size, typically, is what we're really concerned about. Now, usually they'll highlight the ones that are more, I guess, quote-unquote, dangerous. I don't even want to use that word because it's really not dangerous. They're using lunar distance is how they're the measurement here, okay? And lunar distance is the distance from us to the moon. That's very simple. That's what it is, okay? So it's roughly 280-some thousand miles, right? This one here on the 22nd is going to come within 2 lunar distances, which means it's basically you go to the moon and then you go to the moon again. That's how close it comes. That's over 500,000 miles away from us. Now I know when we're talking about space, that's not that grand of a distance because it's not. But it's still, guys, let's think about that. That's pretty far away. Because a lot of people will grab this 2 lunar distance and they'll start making a big, huge deal about it. And it just doesn't need to be that way. Okay? It just doesn't. People freak out over that and it just really shouldn't. And especially when they go down here like September 1st and they see 0.3 lunar distance. You see that? Yes, that's close. Okay? It's closer than what we typically see. But still, we have to keep in mind that's a third of the way to the moon. This one will come between us and the moon. It'll be closer to us than what the moon is. But it's not going to hit us. Okay? You take a third, 286,000 miles or 280-some thousand miles if you want to get technical there. And you divide that by 3, that's how close this one will come to us. So what are we looking at there? I don't know, 80,000 miles, something like that. Right? I mean, it's not that close, guys. I mean, I know that it sounds, the 0.3 here kind of throws people off. Yes, that's closer than what we like, because, just a little bit of mathematical error there could bring that sucker right to us. You know what I mean? And maybe they miscalculated or whatever, who knows. But, yeah. But I just wanted to show you guys this, and then you guys can go over here to the right. The next one would be the speed. And then here's the size of it. Alright, now 30, that's on the smaller end of things. Okay? It's not huge. As far as what it would do if it hit us, I don't have any answers for you there. Obviously if it hit land, that would suck. But wherever it hit, no matter how big it is. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys that so you guys have a reference place to go look at this. Okay? I've shown you guys this in the past, but I wanted to go ahead and do that again because I'm getting a lot of questions because of all the reports of fireballs and stuff that are being seen. And it's a very legitimate question, guys. So anyway, guys, I am going to end it here. If you guys got any questions, drop them in the comments. Hope you guys have. I'll try to do another video here in the next day or two. I haven't been been doing them every day. Frankly, guys, I'm hurting really, really bad. My back and my neck is jacked. I took a fall, and I've had neck and back issues for a very long time, and I'm all jacked up. But anyway, so yeah, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.